Hey guys, Happy New Year. I want to start the new year off strong. With the return of Joyous Journeys, there has been a lot of people leveling Warlocks because they are so strong in Old War. I want to make this quick video to teach you all the basics of Affliction, and if you have more questions, please reach out to me on Discord. Jumping straight into it, these are the talents I like to run. For right now, I need 3 out of 3 suppression because I need the hit. If I didn't need suppression, I would take something like Improved Life Tap. I would consider Grim Reach. I would consider Improved Drain Soul. You don't necessarily need intensity, but it's pretty helpful. And these are the glyphs that we're running. We're running Haunt, Quick Decay, and Life Tap. And the only mandatory minor glyph would be Drain Soul, but your Affliction, so it doesn't really matter. The consumes you want as an Affliction Warlock, you want Spice Mammoth Treats for extra damage on your pet, you want a Wild Magic to pre-pot, you want a Haste Pot for Execute, you always want your Spell Stone, a Spell Power Flask, and food, and then you also have your Soul Stone and your Health Stone to think about. Getting to the opener, I like to pre-pot, Life Tap, free cast Shadow Bolt, Semi-Pedin, Haunt, UA, Agony, Corruption. And now everything's on the boss, and we're getting into maintenance mode. Then if I know I have extra time, I like to pop my gloves. I don't like to include my gloves in the opener automatically because some fights are shorter than a minute right now, and you don't want to waste your glove cooldown. For the maintenance and the rotation, the #1 priority is keeping your Haunt debuff up. So it's nice to have a tracker for the mob's Haunt duration. I like to have a cooldown for the Haunt cooldown itself. And once you know Haunt's comfortably on the target, you want to make sure you have your Corruption maintained because it does a lot of damage and usually it's snapshot off the rip. And then you want UA and then Agony and then maintaining Shadow Bolt in between. And this will be comfortable rotation until 35%. You have a big DPS cooldown called Inferno. Inferno does benefit from Lust and it is a long cooldown, but when you use it, your Fell Hunter goes away. So you want to drop the Inferno during the last minute of the fight, and you can call for a second Lust and Comms. It also snapshots from Flame Caps. Let's talk about Corruption real quickly. I have this weak aura from Murphin. I would highly recommend you get it. It tells you when your Corruption gets a modifier on a target that would increase its crit or damage. Like watch, I put Shadow Bolt on the target. Now we have the 5% crit and it refreshed. So I could read Corruption. Now it gets 5% crit over its duration. Corruption imprints spell power. So it does take the spell power. Say I have a trinket proc like my illustration and my Corruption's on the target, then it'll have the spell power I have at the moment. But when your Corruption refreshes from Everlasting Affliction, it changes to whatever your current spell power is. So what does that mean? It means your spell power when you put up Corruption doesn't matter, it'll change regardless. Corruption snapshots only with damage percent abilities like Tricks of the Trade, and then crit like ISB from your Shadow Bolt. So fights like Thaddeus and Lotheb, keep an eye when you get your Spore or your Charge, and reapply your Corruption accordingly using the weak aura. The weak aura makes it very easy to tell. When the enemy reaches 35% health, you activate Death's Embrace, which increases all your shadow damage done by 12%. This is a percent damage spell, so it'll show on the weak aura that you have 12% damage available. So you want ideally to get another Tricks at 35% to increase your Corruption's damage by that 12% plus the Tricks. If you are unable to get the Tricks, leaving a 100% Tricks Corruption is more damage than your Death's Embrace, but it won't count as logs. I will leave it up to you to decide if you want to override it or not. Drain Soul is where you'll jump from 5th or 6th in damage to #1. That lasts 25%. You need to make sure that you have Life Tap up, and ideally you have a Haste Pot, your gloves, in a macro sort of like this. I will leave this in the description where it's using both your trinkets, potions, speed, etc. If you're Horror, you'll put in your racials as well. And the most important thing is that you keep an eye on your procs, because Drain Soul will snapshot your spell power and your haste. So if you have PI running and your haste pot, if there's 1 second of haste pot and PI left, and you do a Drain Soul, that entire duration Drain Soul will benefit from those haste buffs. So you need to make sure that you're taking advantage of spell power procs, haste procs, while not letting your Haunt fall or your Life Tap. Because if your Haunt falls, your Shadow Embrace will fall off, your Corruption will probably fall off, and you'll lose a large chunk of damage. Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. This took a little bit of time to put together, so I would immensely appreciate if you like and subscribe. I hope you learned a thing or two about Warlock, and I hope to catch you next one. Peace.